Welcome back, everyone. For today's video, today I'm going to be recapping round 3 of the January Melee held at Chess Zone. Now, I know I'm recording this a day later, and I kind of was preoccupied after the tournament, so finally had some free time here to record it. So, gonna go ahead and say that round 3 I have a score of 1 out of 2. This unknownst undercover pseudo 1450 kid named Alex Zheng just beat me, and along with the two people right after. So kind of stunned after round 2, and round 3 I'm playing against an elderly gentleman named Robert Presswood. He's rated around 1700, close to 1700. And yeah, that's all I have to say. So let's go ahead and jump straight into the action, playing with the white pieces again. So begin the game with e4. Robert goes with the Sicilian with c5, knight f3, g6, he goes for the dragon. I go with d4, and after some theory, where we both develop our minor pieces, plays d6. Knight f6 is I've seen more often, but that d6 is fine. Bishop b5, not a book move, but still a good move. Bishop d7, castles, knight f6, h3 to prevent some g4, knight g4, bishop g4 stuff, a6, I decide to trade on c6, and after knight c6, bc6, I decide on what to do next here. Usually I play queen d2 to try to go bishop h6 and trade off the dark square bishop on the king side. But here I decided to move my queen to a different square. I play queen f3, which is not the most common way to go about it, but it's still a good move. And I'm actually threatening something here, so let's say that black, for some reason, instead of just castling, which is objectively best here, let's say black wants to maybe get the queen out for whatever reason. If they ignore my threat, my idea with queen f3 was to play e5, and I'm already creating some threats. My queen's lined up and attacking the c6 pawn, and I use my pawn, I sacrifice my pawn as a clearance, and I also attack black's knight. So obviously queen takes c6 would be devastating, so black has to play the move knight d5 here to block the diagonal, and then the engine just says to go rook f to d1 to continue to pressure the knight, and after something like castles, white just emerges up a pawn in this variation and is doing quite well. You might be wondering, why does it matter? Rook f to d1, doesn't rook a d1 accomplish the same thing? The answer is no, because after the same line, the difference is that there's nothing guarding the a pawn, and black can just go ahead and take this. So matters which rook you used for this combination here. But anyway, Robert did not play queen a5. He played the move knight d7, which is very logical. He's trying to go to e5 and attack my queen. So I played rook a d1. I was fine with him going knight e5 because I would just go to e2. And I go to e2 anyway, even though the knight didn't attack my queen. And I'm preparing to move my f pawn up and maybe play f4, f5, and do some stuff on the king side. He goes c5. I go f4, as I mentioned, rook e8, f5. He goes knight e5 now, which is a mistake. And to me, it didn't seem like a mistake. It seemed fine. Top move here is ridiculous. Bishop g5, that just looks weird. Because what happens if f6? Then the engine's weird. It just says to go back here as if nothing happened. And if g5 were to happen, then after this, black has weakened their own king side, so I guess you're just sort of provoking black to make weaknesses by attacking your piece. It's sort of like baiting them to play f6. But I didn't play bishop g5 in this position. I played bishop c5. I thought that was a free pawn because the pawn's pinned to the queen. So I didn't see how that wasn't best. He plays queen a5 to attack the bishop. And at this point, we each have about 25 minutes on the clock. So after I save my bishop, he plays rook b8 to attack my pawn. I first throw in the f takes g6 to open the f file, and then I play the move queen f2. And my threat is to take his knight and then take an f7 because I'd remove the defender. So he plays rook f8. I play knight d5, and I'm threatening to take on e7 and also defending the my b pawn in the process. So after he plays rook b7 here, I play the move b3, and I save my b pawn. I didn't need to save the a pawn. The a pawn's tactically defended, because if black were to go here, all of a sudden his queen's trapped, and I would just be flat out winning. So little trap I set there. He plays knight c6, and I was happy to trade bishops because I'm up a pawn. His king's a little bit weaker now, and I'm doing quite well. I play c4, building a pawn chain, making sure everything is solidified and defended. And here he plays knight e5, and I see a tactic here. I play the brilliant move knight takes e7, and his king is in shambles. The f6 square is now open for infiltration, and if black were to take my knight, then queen f6, and I would be forking the king and the rook and be completely winning. He saw that, so after knight takes e7, I'm up a minute on time, and I already have a better position, so this is going my way. He logically decides to trade queens to prevent him getting mated, and I'm fine with that because after I retreat my knight, I'm just up 2 pawns in this endgame, and this is a comfortable position for me. And it's going to be a gradual process. I'm going to have to play accurately and not do anything dumb, but ultimately this should be an easy win. I go knight c3 so he doesn't go a4. If I did something else, let's say, and after a4, he's preparing to damage my queen side. If I try to go rook b1 to hold on, he can just take and then put pressure here, and all of a sudden my 2 extra pawns are not felt. Black's going to collect the b3 pawn, and I'm not even going to be better anymore, so I have to be careful. Can't just play any move. So that's why after a5 I go knight c3, and if he were to play a4, I would take it with a knight and keep my pawns intact. He plays rook e8. I go rook d5 to attack his pawn. He moves the knight back to defend. I double up on the knight. He defends. King f2. And I was thinking he would go knight f6 here. And after I saw rook c5, I thought he could do this. And I can't take the rook because after the knight takes back, he would just be forking my king and rook, and I'd be down a piece. No reason to do that. But if you were to go into this line, I would just take the a-pawn. So, just pointing that out. So after king f2, Robert decided to play the move rook c7. Sort of waiting, rook d3, rook 5 to d3. He plays knight e5. It's kind of funny. He played knight e5 3 different times. That's kind of cool. He's seeing the same move on the board 3 times. Just noticed that now. Anyway, after I go rook e3, I'm threatening to fork his rooks on d5 with the knight. And he has 8 minutes. I have 15 minutes. I'm doing quite well here. Rook e to d7. I trade rooks. More than happy to do that. Play knight d5. Not the best move. Knight c6. g4. Knight d4. h4. Rook a7. So this time he's backing up a4 with the rook. So I go knight c3 again. Rook a6. g5. f6. And here I was kind of a little bit worried that he could open the f-file and maybe create some counterplay with the rook. So I get my king off the f-file, play king g3. And after the trade, he goes rook a8. Let's see, I was thinking about pushing the pawn here, but I realized that hangs a fork on f5, so it's never too late to blunder. That's the moral of the story here. Don't get too complacent. If you know you're winning, you could mess up just as easily. Rook f8, knight f6, rook f7, king g4. I'm preparing to go to h3 with my rook. and I'm threatening a skewer. He moves the rook out of the way. I go check. He goes king f8, rook c7. And after a few more moves, I managed to win another pawn. He's down to like 3 minutes here. This is all over. He goes knight d4 in an attempt to create counterplay, but my g-pawn is going to be too much for him. He plays knight takes b3. I push the g-pawn to g6, and queening is basically guaranteed at this point. He tries knight d4 again, but after g7, I think he flagged here. I can't remember. He either flagged or resigned or something, but either way, he lost the game, and we end on a score of 2 out of 3. And yeah, this was a pretty easy game, pretty chill. We had an accuracy of 88.3, and he had an accuracy of 79.5. I think the biggest mistake for him was missing the knight takes e7 tactic with the fork on f6, and also him missing bishop c5 with the pin on the pawn pinned to the queen. So besides that, it wasn't really a bad game on his part. And yeah, I'll try to post the last recap, which was quite the game, I have to say. Try to post the last recap soon. So if you like content like this, please don't forget to smash that subscribe button below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the video. And yeah, until next time, have a great rest of your day or night.